Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com. Shop there today. And make yourself look good. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio. We had a late start, guys, so we're jumping right into the show right about now. Let's go. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight we're broadcasting on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, you can access our archives. They're absolutely free. YouTube.com/@spacedoutradio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio and our Spaced Out Radio show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SR Newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, you can rock out to the man here right there, Mr. Ron Bumblefitthall, and so much more. We're going to have a fantastic show here tonight. We're going to be talking about 3i Atlas because it's in the news. It's all over the place right now. And guess what? We still don't know exactly what it is. This show will be joined by Drew Behnke. We'll be having a semi-panel show as we talk about 3i Atlas. So let me go ahead and bring that guy in the building, Drew Behnke. What's up, bruh?
Yo, semi-panel. Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. I love it. I love it.
Semi-panel.
I love it. So we talked, we were going to set this up for yesterday, but we had some technical difficulties pop up, which didn't allow me to get here. It actually was flooding here pretty bad. So we're here tonight. We're going to make sure that we go ahead and cover 3i Atlas. Let's look at it from the beginning. Let's see, the steps that we have taken so far to get to where we're at, because I think we're almost at a climactic point where either we know what it is or we won't know what it is. Or no, let me rephrase that. We will know what it is, whether it is technological or whether it is natural. What are you pledging your bet on? What are you hedging your bet on? If you had to put it all on the line right now, what are you thinking this is going to be the outcome?
I think it's just going to be a comment in the end, man. I think I think it's opened up a lot of conversation, but I think in the end it's just going to be a comment. But who knows, man? I'm behind the power curve on this. Like, what's going on with it? Like, I'm. This is a
That's
great.
exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go from the beginning, and we're going to talk about, there's been, highlights throughout the process, of getting here today. First, the announcement was made, and we're like, okay, what is this? Then Avi Loeb starts chiming in and says, okay, maybe it's this. And a lot of people have been on this journey with us, so I think they know kind of where we're at. That's why I put the title here tonight, Three Eye Atlas, likely a comet. I agree with you, Drew. But why so weird? Why so weird? At this point, when Avi Loeb was first talking about this and he had maybe one or two things that were anomalous, I think you could look at that and kind of walk away and say, okay, maybe that's just one or two things you didn't recognize before, and maybe this is just a little, different enough that you may see a couple of anomalies. But then he started getting into anomaly 3, then 4, then 5, then 8, 10. Now we're at like 12 different anomalies at this point, things that don't line up with normal comments. And here's what he says, and I agree with them. It's likely a comet, but if you're going to take a stance and say you shouldn't say it's aliens, then explain. All he's asking for is explanations. Explain away these 12 anomalies is literally what he's saying. If you can do that, okay, then we can agree. But until you can do that, it makes it very strange and very weird. And then even more weird that we still haven't seen this high resolution photo from NASA. That's the conspiracy theory kicks in, right? When NASA's involved in they're withholding information, but they're supposed to show us something this week. I don't know. It's all over the place.
Yeah. So one thing, on Friday, I guest hosted on another podcast, on a buddy's podcast, and we got really deep into simulation theory and all that stuff. So the Three Eye Atlas, I'm behind the curve. I don't know what's happened over the last few days of it. I don't know the latest news on it, but my gut's telling me it's a comet. But there's looking at the chat, we call this a semi panel. We might as well include the chat into it. I saw someone mention, I think it was Shelley Montgomery, mentioned about what is behind it, like what's coming next. So this is, if these beings, like we know that they're dealing with consciousness, like the higher conscious being, ET being whatever you want to call it, is on a higher conscious level. It knows our thoughts, emotions, and everything. So this is a drip in the water to see, like, how would we react if something came closer to crossing the line. I think as it goes on, this, believe this next year, 2026, we're going to see the line crossed as far as something like this. But I think this is getting us close to it and acclimatizing us to the idea of something like this happening. I think this is exactly what this is all about, because it's all connected to higher consciousness. So we say that, is it connected to the ET or not? Like, that's a silly question. Like, it's all connected. So, and to add to that, like the aurora borealis, like, lit up like all United States. All I seen was on social media for a whole day and a half was just pictures of the aurora borealis, to include my own. Like, I put up a bunch of my own. But what day did it line up on? 11/11. Like, what synchronicity of numbers? Like, what's the possibility of that? That's like a once in a lifetime event for many that has seen it that night. And I think anybody can relate that was out there and seen it in person. It made you it it gave you a deep introspection. If you spent a little while just looking at it, it ended up, instead of like imagining what was going on out there, it in turn like gave you a deep introspection. At least it did for me, because I was just in awe of such an event. I just started looking within inside myself. Like, so this is, which ties back to this whole consciousness event. 3-eye atlas, the third eye, like it's talking about the third eye.
They're right.
It's starting to awaken the third eye. So I think all these, I think we're gonna look back on this, a couple of years from now and be like, oh, these are all signs that was leading up to an event. But I think this is just one of the things leading up to that event. I think ultimately it's going to be deemed as a comet in the end, and just something, like I said, getting us acclimatized. But I think it's going to be something like was mentioned in the chat. I think there's something going to be coming shortly after, within the next, I would say within the next year, that's going to be pretty amazing. So who knows? Or
And
they could land on December 29th still. Who knows? I have no idea, really.
yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not with the dates things. I like to take things that we know, right? We know this object is out there. We see it. We can almost touch it. We have images of it. We can study it. And it's, walking away from this, it's just, I feel like, especially with it coming now, I guess you could consider closer to Earth. I think December 29th is the closest, is the date when it'll be closest to Earth. So you got all cameras facing that way. I was looking online, I saw some amateur astronomers that were, imaging this currently. And it's just, when you look at the 12 anomalies, that's really what the thing that I'm focusing in on is the 12 anomalies. Let's look at those and try to, see who can explain these things away. Because just like I said earlier, I think that's, if we're talking about science and we have a lot of people coming out speaking against Avi Loeb, really dragging the name through the mud. If you want to be real, they're out there talking major mess, slam dunking on Avi Loeb at this point. And, it's all he's really saying. And I have no stake in the Avi Loeb franchise, but I would just say, this is one of those, like you said, awakening moments, literally, for, just the idea that when you're talking about the vastness of space and it being infinite, let's think about that for a moment. Infinite space doesn't end, apparently, unless we can find the end at some point down the line. Today, as we understand it, it does not end. So if we're here, we're in space, technically, we're on this rock called Earth. We're sitting in the middle of space, rotating a star. There are other planets doing the exact same thing. Billions, I think maybe even trillions. I don't know if I'll go that far, but at least billions of other planets that are doing the exact same thing that we are. So why it would be ignorant to assume that everything you see moving or flying through space is automatically going to be a rock. Let's start there.
Sure. Well, think about it, like, let's back this up. Like, let's come back from the elder realms of our solar system back to our human body for a second. We can only see a small fraction of the light fractal. So wouldn't that be true? Like, if we're looking through a telescope, like, maybe it would open up like some of those fractals what we could see, but ultimately it's filtered by our eyes because we can only see a small fraction of the whole light spectrum that's there. That's something
Yeah.
that's scientifically proven at the moment. So if we're looking out there and we're seeing, okay, there's maybe billions or trillions of stars, just think if we could see the whole light spectrum, like how many are out there that we don't see? Because I can tell you, like, from ceremonies, like, when I do ayahuasca ceremonies at night, like, I take the crowd out, the people that can go out, like, they've, after they peaked and everything, go outside and stand by a fire and look up. Like, there's a lot more stars out there than you see when that you can see then, um, you know, without the ayahuasca. And we can get into that also. There's a whole nother conversation that talks about, like, codes that I saw on a podcast and DMT and all the using a laser to see it. But it's some groundbreaking experimental stuff that really breaks it down in a crazy way. But anyways,
Yeah.
but
Think about this.
there's there's realms that we can't see, you know, that we're just talking about the stars that we can see with our eyes. And this is, you know, Atari technology when we're talking about, you know, current day technology, you know, the difference of the ability to see. I think there's way more out there. There's been quantum entanglement, quantum wormholes are starting to be really documented and scientific and really studied scientifically, which is an uh, amazing statement for me to be able to make in my lifetime. That quantum entanglement and quantum wormholes is something that's really being taken seriously right now. So what we see is just a small fraction. So I think it's infinite, dude. And I think what we're looking at is remnants of our civilizations that's been going on through eternity.
And there are some people out there that have been giving their opinions on it as well. And let me start by saying this. I mean, by no means are we astrophysicists or astrologers, you know, that are versed in exactly what's going on. We're sitting here and trying to figure this thing out with everyone else. We lean on astrophysicists and astrologers and other scientists that are into this field, into this matter, to get our information or to lead us. And that's, I don't know how you feel about that, because you know, I guess the perfect example of what I'm trying to say is that if Avi Loeb doesn't step forward and we are just depending on the other scientists that are just saying it's a comet, well, what do we know? We're just going to go with that and be like, okay, it's a comet. He said it's a comet, so it's a comet, right? Or he says it's this, and that's we're trusting in their expertise in order to get the information that we have, right? So, you know, at the end of the day, when you have someone giving a differing opinion or a new point of view, it's responsible, I guess, to, you know, be able to listen to that. And then who do you listen to? If you're open minded, you're listening to both sides of the conversation. You're listening to Avi Loeb, his point of view. You're also listening to scientists like Michio Kaku, who actually I have up here because he stepped in recently. He was interviewed because my feeling is that, you know, there are astrologers, astrophysicists, scientists out there that are tired of seeing Avi Loeb on TV talking about this being potentially alien tech. They've had enough. They're screaming at the screen. And finally, they interviewed Michio Kaku, who used to be a go-to guy. They used to go to him for everything, right? For anything and everything, they used to go to Michio. So they went to him recently, within the last few days, and they were just asking what was his opinion on this, and they attempted to pit him against Avi Loeb, but he respected Avi Loeb's point of view, and then he said, "In my opinion," which is a great way to start your statement, is that he states that he thinks it's like a rock of some sort that's probably 7 billion years old, that's been traveling through interstellar space for all this time, and now we're just, you know, getting a chance to see this thing pass through our solar system. That's his opinion, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't down Avi Loeb and say no, he's wrong. He was like, that's what he thinks it is. This is what I think it is.
Yeah.
That's the conversation that needs to be had out there. Also, I saw our guy here, Dr. Stephen Greer. And I wrote down a couple things that he talked about. Dr. Stephen Greer, in his opinion, he thinks, first of all, he says that it might be a rogue asteroid, where I could see that, you know, if it ends up being a rogue asteroid, makes sense. Essentially what Michio Kaku is saying. But then also he states that he thinks that it could be, and this is the more intriguing piece. I could fall into this boat right here. He thinks that it's possibly space junk from an older, distant civilization. What do you think about that?
Could be anything. I mean, who knows? That's a hard one. I've never
I mean, does it make
split
sense?
doesn't I don't know. Like if it's hard to say because we're scaling our thoughts on like our civilization and other civilizations and other planets may be, we know that other planets dwarf the size of ours. So, um, if this is a remnant or a piece off of exploded civilization or exploded planet or whatever, like it could have been, so much bigger than ours that we can't even imagine it. And this is just a small piece off of it. Who knows? But if it's I heard it's like 5-6 miles across. I've heard it's 700 miles across. Like, I, who really? I don't know how you would really even figure it out. To be honest, like,
Well, that's the whole idea. I mean, that's the reason why we talk about it, because we don't know what it is. Like,
yeah,
we literally don't know what it is. So that's the reason why we sit down and have these sort of conversations, because we want to talk through. We want to talk through it. We don't want to just immediately side with one side of the conversation. We want everyone to be a part of an open-minded conversation, and we just want to look at all the available options. So space junk for me, and obviously we talked before about Voyager 1, Voyager 2 being out there. We sent those out 50 years ago. They're outside the solar system at this point. They are in interstellar space at this point, traveling to who knows where. They'll end up who knows where. And think about this. We have how much space junk orbiting this planet right now. How many things that we were putting things up every day? Elon Musk is putting up another rocket with how many Starlink satellites on it. I think there's thousands of them up there at this point, let alone all the other countries that put things up there. That's just here in our own orbit. And that's only been done, let's give it the last 60 years, okay, of human beings putting things out into space. And we've already put so much space junk out there that it would make total sense that if you had a civilization that was billions of years older than us doing the exact same thing at some point, sending out, you know, satellites or probes to monitor distant galaxies, or just space junk in general. Just we've taken things that we've built here on Earth and put them out there into space, thousands and thousands and thousands. We had the booster rocket. They didn't even know what that was. They thought it was some anomalous thing. I don't know if they thought it was an asteroid, but they detected it, and then they realized that it was the booster rocket from some space shuttle mission from years ago. And we have a booster floating around space right now. They could end up who knows where. Also, Elon Musk has put up a Tesla Roadster with the mannequin, just put it out there in space. So it would make total sense to me that we have something passing through that was sent out so long ago that it's crazy, right?
yeah. Well, it took us a while to understand the importance of not littering in the water. Like, I remember riding around at Lake Erie as a kid. My dad, like, throwing out cigarette butts in the water and cans in the water and stuff like this, and it was not that uncommon back then, and now you would never think of it doing anything like that in the water. So maybe it'll take us 20 or 30 years before we realize we can't just start throw trash out into the space too. Like, all part of our ecosystem.
Yeah, and here's, I try my best, when we approach conversations like these, to come at it from a practical standpoint. Like, I said this on the other show. I don't think we should go from a top down. We should go from a bottom up. Let's start with the basics on what we know, and then kind of try to branch out from there with more things that we will know, instead of, uh, fantastical tales. We can make up anything about this thing. If you wanted to go there, you could make up a million different wacky things
Oh my
that
God. Yeah.
this thing could be. But the thing that even, let's look at it and say it's natural, right? There's things like there's supernovas out there. There's black holes. There's what is that? The planet nursery out there. There's all sorts of very strange things that don't make sense that we know of. Imagine of the things we don't know of. Maybe this is a new, natural process that happens in space, a natural thing We don't have a name for it yet. And this might be one of those moments where we're discovering some new thing that happens in space, the same way with ball lightning here on Earth, something that's very rare. We think we know that it's a thing, but we're really not sure, and we're still in a figuring out process. This could be something like that. But the thing that just keeps troubling me about it is NASA hasn't released the images. And here's one thing that was brought to my attention by, I was watching a news report on this, and the news reporter was pointing out this high-rise camera on the orbiter or on Mars is sending back pictures of Mars every day, all the way up till today, sending brand new pictures of Mars every single day. And it's been a month and a half, and we still haven't seen this thing. It was a question that was being asked, like, why are we getting those images daily, but we're not getting anything on this? And see, that's where NASA likes to play in the conspiracy lane. And I don't know if they get off on this, but it's kind of a situation where we have to sit here and do what we're doing tonight. Spaced Out Radio, After Hours Radio Show. We'll be right back after the break. And we're clear. Don't give me the commercial finger, Drew Beggy.
Sometimes I just got to cut you off right there in the middle, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So let me go ahead and say what's up to everybody in the chat. We didn't get to do this earlier. Kitty Catty Whack, who came in tonight with the gold, appreciate you coming on in. Flat Sixer coming in with the silver medal, and then Mel WD40 coming in with the bronze. Appreciate you guys always coming in bright and early to the show. As well as Robert Lamoth Jr. saying, hey, Rob, appreciate you coming on in. Roger Murray always keeping us informed. November 16th, 1973, Lemon Grove UFO incident. I'm not familiar with that one, Roger Murray. Appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I'll have to look that one up. Also, we have, who else do we have out here? We have Kenny Whack, Deb from Sacramento. Wait a minute. Deb from Sacramento. Appreciate you coming on in. Long time no see. Thanks for showing up here tonight. We have, let's see, Cosmic Joe Chronicles. Hey, Cosmic Joe, thanks for showing up. We have Maggie M10. What is this, a family reunion? What's going on here? Maggie M10 from down under. Appreciate you coming on in, saying hi, Mr. Robin all. Thank you for showing on up here tonight. We got, let's see. I said T-Bone, right? I'll say it again. T-Bone, thanks for coming on in. Integrationing, you the man, Mr. Rob G. Appreciate you coming on in. Let's see. I almost want to say that's Corey. I think I'm right about that. Thanks for coming on in. Kitty Catty Whack, appreciate the super sticker here tonight. Thanks for your support. Spaced Out Radio in the show here. T-Bone as well. Thank you so much. Appreciate you supporting the show. Let's see. Kathy Evans. Thanks for coming in, Kathy Evans. Let's see here. We got Kurt M. Thanks for coming on in. Exquisite Cringe. Appreciate you coming on in. Hopefully I said that right. Appreciate you showing up. To Mothman, greetings all. Thanks for coming on in, to Mothman. Let's see. And yes, put your I'm not going to, for the radio purposes, during the show, I won't refer to chat, but chat, please put your opinions on Three Eye Atlas in the chat, and then I'll acknowledge it essentially, and we'll speak to it as well. Let's see, who else do we have? Cosmic Joe Chronicles, appreciate you. I acknowledge Rob G. I acknowledge you right back. You know that, Cosmic Joe. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see. Who else do we have out here? Lil Camp 5-1 present. Appreciate showing on that, Lil Camp 5-1. Let's see. I know Drew said Shelly Montgomery was here. I'm looking for Shelly. Where's Shelly? There she is. Shelly Montgomery, thank you for coming on in tonight. Let's see. Who else do we have? Oh, Christine. Thank you for coming on in. Appreciate showing on up. And Matt Gutka. Appreciate you coming on in, Matt. Yeah, T-Bone, those 7 jets, natural or mechanical. It's one of the anomalies. We're going to be talking about those. I'm going to go through all the anomalies and put your opinions in the chat for sure. I'll be reading the chat. Like I said, I may not say your name or say it's from chat, but I'll definitely read the message and then we'll speak to it. Andrew, appreciate you coming on in. FAP, appreciate showing on up. Polly Rodderman. Hey, Polly. Missed you guys. We miss you too, Polly. It's been a minute. I saw you on the podcast earlier. Good stuff. Let's see. President Joe Zaddy in the building. Thanks for coming on in. Yes, you are right. Polly Rodderman. Alien or not implications for humankind with Atlas are huge. That is definitely right. And the reason why we have to talk about it until we know what it is, and even afterwards, because if it ends up being, I guess either way, right? Tech, alien tech or not. I got your question here, T-Bone. Paul Damon is out here. I've seen Paul Damon. Can't find his name. We're coming back in 3 seconds here, guys. Let's go. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. And joining us, Drew Banky, the man with the plan. We are talking 3-Eye Atlas because it's weird. That's good enough. And I think the implications, as was said in the earlier tonight, are huge for humanity. It is definitely something that we should be talking about, should be on everyone's mind. Because if it was alien tech, last thing you want is to have it just show up and you weren't expecting company. So we were talking right before break about Dr. Stephen Greer, who thinks that, potentially his opinion is, and I'll say this again, he states maybe it's a rogue asteroid. He also said he thinks possibly space junk from an older distant civilization. That's kind of what we left off talking about, and made some points there as far as all the space junk that we put out there. It's going to end up on someone's doorstep one day, maybe 1 billion years from now, but it is definitely going to end up on someone's front step, and they're going to have their very own 3-Eye Atlas moment. At the rate we're going, we'll be long gone as a civilization, unfortunately, unless we change what it is we're doing here. He also stated, well, one of the things that he pointed out, and I thought this was actually pretty important, and the reason why he was using this to back up the space junk statement is he was stating that, when you look at 3-Eye Atlas, as we understand, it's going about 100,000 kilometers or miles per hour, depending on where you're at in the world. And just pointing out that that's actually slow when you're talking about galactic distances between star systems, because you get into talking about light years and how the distance it would take for 1 light year is some astronomical distance. So when you see something coming in at 100,000, miles per hour, that's actually pretty slow, and would more so indicate it would less likely be related to extraterrestrial space travel, and more likely something, more prosaic or even alien tech drifting through space. That and that made sense to me. and I'm a, we know a lot of people have their differences with Stephen Greer, but this stood out to me and it made sense to me. What do you think about that?
It could be like it's definitely a high probability. I mean, like you pointed out a lot of instances that just the Elon stuff alone, we've been sending stuff in since the space race, and who knows what went on before that, like what other times when maybe that's not the first time that we've been to space, like when we went to the moon, things like that, the space race with Russia back in the day. Maybe this is just a cycle that we keep going through. So maybe it's out there forever. Maybe this is uh who knows, maybe it's from maybe our future in a way, like or our past. But regardless, like I wanted to say before the break, and right when we were coming back off a break, wanted to get to it. But ultimately, I think it's doing exactly what it's doing right this moment on this show. It's bringing up a conversation, not just with us, but like a lot of people. It's bringing up a conversation and allowing people's minds to really, like I said, not only get used to that idea, but ultimately like expand consciously, like because that's what's happening with these conversations. It's allowing us to like daydream in a way of what is, and expand our consciousness. So it's sparking a lot of different conversations and possibilities. And I think that's exactly what it's supposed to do. But ultimately, in the end, the physical part of it, I think, is going to be a comet or or space trash. It could be like you said. There's a million different possibilities. It could be. It could be. It could be a planet killing comet. It might take a turn right at the end, hit us. Who knows? But
Yeah, it's
uh,
just when we think about once again how the space being infinite place, and just think of it, well, the way I think about space is I kind of compare it to the ocean, to the open ocean, and there's vast distances, right, that you travel across the ocean, and you're going to see a lot of different types of things that live in the ocean. You're going to see, you might be in an area where schools of tuna like to hang out, right? So should you think that everything swimming through the water is a tuna, right? Or, and that's my whole point here, right? Because as someone pointed out recently, as far as us examining these skies, it's only been about 400 years when you think about it. We So what I'm saying there is that we could, within that short period of time, there's no way that we can know everything that we would come across out there. Because for one, we can't go out there to travel at this point. We're not space traveling civilization yet, so we only get to see things that come close to us or come near enough for us to see, or see with the telescope, right? That's all we get. But we don't know about what's past what we can see.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And is
yeah.
this something that may be coming in from some point past where we can visibly see? Maybe this is a whole new class of, maybe not even a comet per se. When I say comet, I mean comet as we know it, as a space rock. Maybe it's something we don't have a name for yet, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would go as far to say is most of what we talk about in space is mostly theories. Like, there's very little hard evidence of what's actually going on out there, that is other than like, obviously the pictures of the pictures from the Mars rover and stuff like that you brought up in the first part, that we still don't have pictures of this because the government shut down, which makes no sense. Why we getting pictures from the Mars rover, the government shut down, but we can't get a picture of one of the most uh, could be one of the most potentially impactful object going through our solar system, and it's just taking a picture. Like, so that's an interesting point. But NASA, Big Brother, they said that's nothing to worry about. It's just a comment, and I think there's probably a lot of truth in that when it comes down to it. But it is it's waking people up. It's waking people up that and this awakening is hitting on all different levels. Some people get woken up by um spontaneous spiritual events or near-death experiences or in meditation or retreats or whatever, or some people that can't get that the spirit or the forces to be that's trying to facilitate the shift in human consciousness. Some of those people that they can't get to, maybe I truly believe that this is a part of it. Like this is a part to catch those group of people that are looking at the stars for their awakening, or looking to space for their awakening. I think this is part of that. Like, and this is the source, the consciousness, the shift is very, very determined that it's going to take place in our lifetime and very, very soon. And it's doing everything it can to reach as many people as it is possible. And there's a certain group of people that need something like this to start the conversation, to start that awakening happening.
And one thing before we move on to is that another person that may have some opinions, but I also looked at what I wanted to do because I want to be practical, right? I don't. You look around YouTube, for instance, and you see a lot of clickbait videos on 3i Atlas is morphine. Oh, it's turning into this or that, just a bunch of BS, right? And so that prompted me to look into what are people saying within the UFO community, and not just in the community, but in the fringes of the community. So like the extreme part of the UFO community. And I'm finding like channelers, remote viewers, I'm finding mediums, and they're saying that it's, they're giving some sort of extravagant explanation for what it is. And I'm just like, I don't know if we should take that approach to this, right? Because if this is a serious conversation, why start there? Why start with, this is I didn't even have an example because I couldn't watch it, but it's just those out there sort of examples. Once again, coming from the top down, saying it's the mothership with light beams aboard, or like okay, let's stop. We don't know that. We don't have anything that shows us that or tells us that. So let's not get to that part of the conversation yet. Let's talk about kind of normal things as far as what this might be. And so I just wanted to say that because I consider myself as part of the UFO community, and it just to see that be the approach is just, I feel like that's the wrong way to approach not just 3i Atlas, but really a lot of this stuff that we're dealing with when it comes to the phenomena. Do you agree with that or disagree? How do you look at that?
Yeah. So repeat that again, because I was reading the chat, and I had a comment to make on that. So just spark it back up.
Yeah, no, just having when I'm looking, because I'm looking at skeptics of 3i Atlas. I'm also looking at Avi Loeb and his perspective.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
and then
so
the UFO community as well.
Here's what I wanted to say. This is shedding the light on a lot of people, because if you're a legitimate channeler, like if you can channel, or if you can not channel, maybe if you can remote view, if you've been putting yourself out there as a remote viewer, this is the time to either to show, to prove what to put your words to proof. Like, this is the time to prove it. Like, if you're a legit remote viewer, go remote view, get on remote view yourself to that comment. Like, why could you not, or somewhere close to where it's passing by or something like that. Like, there's it's shedding the light on a lot of people that are charlatans. Like, honestly, I think, and I hate to put it out there like that, but this is the time to really prove it. Like, if you can really go out into space and look at things in space, now's the time to prove it. That's all I got to say, and I'm not saying any names or anything like that. I'm not putting any, I don't even have any names in mind when I say that. All I'm saying, like, that we knew that all these people talking about how they have these abilities or they can do this or that, especially channeling. I'm not saying channeling is not real because I experienced it myself, but it's something that's very, very, very hard to control. It's very deep. And I think a lot of these people that are doing it, it's um, some type of mental illness that's going on inside them, honestly. And I think there are channels out there, but I think some of the channels out there that are have severe mental illness, to tell you the truth. But the people that are can remote view, and if you're talking about remote viewing, prove it. Like, go tell us what this thing is. And if why is there so many people coming up with different things that it is?
And see, the problem with this is that you're not going to be able to prove it. And I, if we are talking about Avi Loeb stepping out on a ledge by just having an opinion on it could be something other than a comment, that's pretty basic. That's a pretty basic approach to the conversation. And so if he's stepping out on a ledge, what do you think you're doing if you're coming in hot, saying that this is something full of light beings and making all these assumptions? When if NASA shows us these photos this week like they're supposed to, and it turns out to be not that, then how does the community look, right? And I'm feeling like, as you said, charlatans, there's a lot of what they call grifters in this community. And I'm a loud voice on this. Actually, I've spoken out, as unpopular as it might be to do that within this community, to speak against that. But I think it's our duty to kind of make sure that we keep this conversation more grounded in not necessarily a reality, but just grounded in more of facts. Like, let's go.
Sure.
If we have facts, let's start with facts and then kind of branch out from there. And that's
Sure.
my whole approach. And that's just, it just kind of saddened me for a moment to kind of look around and see how many individuals were taking the opposite approach to what this is. You can't even have a serious conversation that way, I feel like. And I just wanted to say that because before we move on to the next thing, go ahead.
No, I said, like I said from the beginning, like this whole thing is about consciousness. It's about what's going on inside of us or outside of us, but it's about this consciousness awakening. The UFOs are just a small part of it. So the mention of a possible alien ship or a Comet 3i Atlas doesn't shift my attention away from that fact that I know, that deep down fact that I know. I'm just trying to figure out how this fits into that fact that I know, that I really feel deeply is the basis of this whole story, is this consciousness awakening of ourselves. I still hold that as my truth. So I'm trying to figure out, this 3i Atlas is not my main focus. It's just I'm trying to figure out how it connects into that. And I see that it's opening a conversation on people that may not be having a conversation, because it's so mainstream. So it doesn't matter what it is, like a comment or not, it's already sparked conversations. It's already done what it's supposed to do. And that's what I believe it is.
It could be a big ball. It could be a big ball of consciousness, right? It could be.
Who knows?
There's a billion places you could go with trying to, assume what it is. But just I think coming from a grounded place is the best thing to do. With all
could
of
turn
this
into
stuff
our new
related to
sun. It could be our second moon coming in. Who knows? Like, how it's been going these past few years. Nothing really would surprise me right now. Like,
yeah, it's a learning moment, I think, for everyone involved, regardless of what side of the conversation you're on. And it's an exciting moment either way it goes. I think it's going, whatever it is going to change the game, whether it is on to, further the conversation about extraterrestrials, if it happens to be related to that, or just, moving the needle on realizing that we don't know everything at the end of the day. So even the people who come in assuming it's a comet, all the astrophysicists, if it turns out to be this new thing that we never heard of, well, now look at how ignorant a person like that would look, right?
Yeah.
And I always say science is more of a educated guess sort of field. And I think it's still needed, but you always find that if you look historically, science moves the goal line every 20 years and kind of rewrites things. When I was a kid, Pluto was a planet. Now it's not. Um, they didn't know up until the mid 90s that there were all these other galaxies out there. They had no clue, right? When you look at that and you realize that even though they're so staunch in how they feel about what this is, 20 years from now, they will likely have a different opinion, being that now they have newfound information about new discoveries and new things that they are just finding out are out there. So I think it's going to be a learning moment for everyone. So as
Sure.
much as they're getting on Ivy Lowe for this, if it turns out to not be a comet, but then it's still not alien technology, well, guess what? Everybody walks away with more knowledge than they walked in with.
Just, I mean, just close your eyes for a minute and think about your grandkids when they're doing a podcast interview, you know, 50 years from now. Just think of the conversations like of, you know, my grandpa started off his life, and most of the world didn't even believe about UFOs, and we're like cohabitating with other life forms on this planet, like openly and stuff like that. Then, so it's just I think about it all the time. I got, like I said before, I got two older kids, a 22-year-old and a 20-year-old. And then I got Hawk and Ember, that's 3 and 2. Those two, uh, the two older kids, they lived in a reality where UFOs weren't real, and now they're shifting into a reality where it's mainstream, talked about, and accepted that UFOs, consciousness, and everything is. And the two younger kids won't know a reality where that consciousness wasn't talked about openly like it is now. And who knows, like, how fast it's been going just over the past few years. Just imagine what it's going to be like by the time we pass on, and what we'll see in our lifetime. So
Agree.
yeah, it's all amazing stuff, man. I can't say it enough that I'm in gratitude to be living in this time and to be witness to these times that we're in right now. And that's how I truly view myself. Like, I don't see that we're heading towards apocalypse or anything like that. I think I really see myself as so much gratitude for living in this time right now. And this 3 Atlas is just a small part of this amazing story that's unfolding before us.
And I'll say this: I'm going to actually get on to the next person here, but you know, I when 2025 started, and we started with the Jerome Flap, and then we had Jake Barber, and then it went a few months with just absolutely nothing. And a lot of people were asking, is disclosure dead? And we were having these sort of conversations about there not being a lot happening as far as in this community. And then now it seems like things picked up dramatically, and we're going to end the year off. Really, I can say by the end of this year, I'll feel pretty fulfilled with what we observed here in 2025, and really hoping that we get more into 2026. But we got like a minute left, so we're not going to really get into. Well, I guess I can tell you. So Billy Carson was another person that I came across. Billy. I know Billy as well. I met Billy on a show before, and his opinion was he thinks if it's artificial, that it could be a probe examining this part of the galaxy. And I think that's a pretty plausible thing when you think about that. It would make sense if once we harness the ability to space travel, especially at the rate that we're improving technologically. I could see if we still are here as human beings. I hope we are a billion years from now. We will be at the point where we will have probes out there examining the galaxy, like far out, just examining all reaches of the galaxy. So it would make total sense that you have some civilization that put out maybe a million probes all out in different directions in space, and we just happen to have one coming through our neighborhood at this point in time.
Sure.
What do you think about that idea?
Absolutely. I mean, if consciousness is all connected, we're doing it. Like, we're sending out probes everywhere. You know, there we're sending out, you know, satellites and to places where we can't get to. We can't get to in crafts right now, like humans to get there. So we're sending out probes everywhere through the universe, through our solar system. We've been doing it from the beginning. So it makes total sense that if there's another civilization and it's connected to us, that they're doing the same. So it's another possibility that has a common sense merit.
There you go. Perfect way to end that. And he also has some other ideas about this. Some more kind of out there, and we'll make sure we go over those right after the break. And then we'll get into the 12 anomalies that Avi Loeb has pointed out and listed, which is very irresponsible of him, on why 3i Atlas might not just be a comet. Likely a comet, but why so weird? We'll be right back after this break, guys. Spaced Out Radio, After Hours Radio Show.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, see you in 5, buddy. Welcome back, Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show, after hour number 2. Dose. Back with Drew Banky here. We're going to be getting back from radio here in the next 30 seconds. Any opinions or questions about 3i Atlas, put them in caps so I can go ahead and star them, and then we will talk about those or bring them up the last half hour, the back half of this hour. And let me see. Let me actually get myself current here. All right, here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show. We're on after hour number 2. Doing a semi-impromptu panel here on 3i Atlas, talking about likely a comet, but why so weird? Why is it so weird? Still strange, still unknown. We're waiting to see these pictures. NASA, what are you doing? Let's get on it. Any part of this conversation you can find in our archives, absolutely free, youtube.com/the Spaced Out Radio is getting back here with Drewski. And so right before the break, we were talking about Billy Carson. So Billy Carson, and we actually in the last hour gone over a few other people who, had given opinions on what they think this is from their eyes, what they think this could be. And so right before the break, we were talking about Billy Carson had stated that if artificial, it could be a probe examining this part of the galaxy. And I made a statement saying, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really grounded, a grounded approach to it. Because if you look at what we've already done, we put things out there. And I could see a world where if we're still here as humans, 1 billion years down the line, we will have things out there monitoring or probing different galaxies as well, with the sole purpose of being probes to gather information on different galaxies out there. Is definitely a place that we're going to go at some point in our technological future. So it makes total sense that that's what we're seeing here, especially if we're talking about a civilization that could technically no longer be there if you think about it, with the time it would take to travel with some of their probes monitoring space. It just makes sense because Lou Elizondo talks about the intruder being outside your house and muddy footprints. I know everybody remembers him talking about that, but just think of if you had if you had to worry about not just natural things out there, but also, things that might be biological out there coming in. You'd want to know when something was in your vicinity, some sort of something that detects, or finding out where things are so you can monitor or keep an eye on particular said thing. And a lot of people out there feel like that's kind of what the current phenomena that we're dealing with right here on Earth is doing. And, that for me kind of leans into why it would make sense that they would have some sort of probe coming through our solar system. So Billy did kind of, get into some more wooey side, I'll say, of this. He had a second opinion. This is what he said he actually believes. So the first one was what he thinks, but he believes this one, as he says right here. He believes that this object may be inhabited, and that maybe it picked up frequencies from our nuclear testing back in the 1940s and has come to see what we've done and where we're at this point. And that, for me, makes, I could see that potentially. Only thing with that is that I would, if I were talking to Billy right now, is just the speed that it's traveling at. As we talked about last hour, about 100,000 kilometers or miles per hour, depending on where you're from in the world, is pretty slow, even though it's the fastest thing we've seen traveling through our solar system, if we're assuming it to be a comet. But it's pretty slow when you talk about needing to be able to travel at the speed of light, and then also seeing some of the things here that we see in our own skies traveling. It appear, I guess it's hard to determine really, but if it's even going that fast. I guess that'd be something we need to look into, because I know as far as the craft in the sky that we see here, they're zipping. They're 60 miles away at the Captain Fravors cap point within what 1-2 seconds. So do
Yeah,
the
it was
math.
a fraction of a second.
Yeah, so do the math on that, and maybe it's in the ballpark of. I don't think that'd be the speed of light, obviously. So, maybe they don't. I don't know. I just it makes sense that Three Eye Atlas, being that it's on a galactic scale, going only 100,000 miles per hour, that it might not be that, unless it's something that's full time inhabited and is strictly something that travels through space and never goes back to a home planet. Now I could see that. That would make sense. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, aren't we getting ready to send like 2 people to Mars one way? Didn't we talk about that before? There's some woman that's going to be going, and it's a one-way trip. Like there's no return ticket.
No, I hadn't heard of that. Let's bring that up in hour 3 though, for sure. We can talk more about that. I hadn't heard of that.
No, I think so. Someone Google that real quick. But Jamie, Google that. But no, I think there was talk of that somewhere where they're getting ready, they're screening someone and getting ready to. I know at least one person that has agreed to do like a one-way trip, and they know that they're not coming back. So who
I
knows what
know.
it.
I've heard Elon Musk said he wants to go there, and I guess he'll go at the end of his life when he doesn't have much time left. So I could see that. But as human beings, like right now, if we were to hop on a spaceship and say, okay, we're just going to, we're going to have generations of humans born on this spaceship, and we're just going to travel forever, essentially, out into space. And I could, I don't. I guess it would depend on the life cycle of said being, if that was going to be a thing. Like if this was inhabited, they would probably have to have a longer life cycle than we have, I would assume, to even make that make sense. Because even on the human aspect, I can't see with the time frame that we have to live as humans. I don't see that we would ever leave Earth forever and just strictly be a space traveling, species. I just don't see that. But it's fun to think about.
Yeah.
It is fun to
Who
think
knows?
about.
There's a million possibilities, but like you said, the reality of it, there's a very, very good chance. The only thing that we can almost be certain of is that we will never know. We will never know for sure what this object is, and that's what's almost guaranteed. Like who knows? We may get a definitive answer of what this is, but the best chance is that we will never know exactly what it is.
I beg to differ. And the only reason why I say that is because I'm putting stock into these NASA photos that we haven't seen yet. I'm just feeling like, and it's going to be, probably
That's a
setting
bold.
my hopes
It's a
too high.
bold statement.
I'm setting my hopes too high. I'm telling you, because I'm assuming that we're going to get this crystal clear visual of what this is. And I just feel like for some reason, when they release these photos, they're going to be underwhelming. I just feel like it's still not going to be super high definition, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. And then maybe that's the reason why they haven't released them as of yet. I don't know. But we know what this guy thinks, Avi Loeb, because he's all over TV right now. And he's the reason why everyone's having this conversation to begin with. And he's the guy that has laid out these 12 anomalies, which he's pretty much just like, hey, just explain these away and then we can move on. So let me go ahead and go over. Actually, let's do this. Let's go over the timeline of events thus far with Three Eye Atlas. And I think I have those right here. Yeah, okay. So the timeline we had, there was actually pre-discovery, which is back in May. They didn't know what they were looking at. They were capturing the data, but hadn't necessarily, singled it out as being something. That didn't happen until July 1st of this year. The NASA-funded asteroid terrestrial impact last alert system, or ATLAS, which is where 3i Atlas gets his name from, telescope in Rio Hurtado, Chile, spots the object as a fast-moving dot. Initial designation was some random name and numbers. Usually they give it some weird name and numbers. At the right ascension, 12 hours, 34 minutes, 56 seconds. Let's see. July 2nd through the 15th, confirmation in early spectroscopy. The Minor Planet Center officially designates its 3i Atlas as the third interstellar interloper. And we get to July 21st, we get Hubble images from NASA, which is showing the first high resolution images. Then we get to August 4th, which is when James Webb Telescope jumps in. We get to August, between August 10th and 22nd, we had some multi-site campaigns with Gran Telescopio Canarias, 2-meter twin telescope, and VLT detect fan-shaped dust emissions and extreme negative polarization in the coma. We get to September, and we get 3i Atlas nears 2 astronomical units from the sun. The brightness climbs to magnitude 12.5, with coma expanding to 30 arc seconds with faint green hues from diatomic carbon. Then we get to October 2nd and 3rd, which was the Mars flyby, closest approach to Mars, which we still are waiting for the images. We had the European Space Agency actually get some images, and they showed us some images. Also, China as well. And we get to October 29th, which is the perihelion, the solar closest approach at 1.357 astronomical units, peak speed, and that's astronomical units between, it says, Earth and Mars orbits. Global observatories, including Gemini South, recorded maximum activity, extended ion tail, and multiple jets. No fragmentation observed. November 3rd, which apparently this is the Venus approach. I didn't hear about that. November 11th, Italy's virtual telescope project images show collimated jets extending 1 million kilometers sunward and 3 million kilometers anti-sunward, which is one of the anomalies for Avi Loeb. Intricately structured, unlike diffuse cometary sprays. Loeb highlights this in his Medium Q&A. You got November 15th, just yesterday. Apparent magnitude 11 hits 11.5, visible to small telescopes. The tail lengthens with ongoing James Webb Telescope monitoring for Doppler shifts in jets. We got coming up here December 19th, which will be closest safe pass at 1.8 astronomical units or 270 million kilometers with its closest approach to Earth. Then we have March of 2026 is essentially when it should be passing Jupiter, and kind of after that sort of leaves the solar system. So that's the timeline. But the things that Avi Loeb has pointed out, which is the reason why scientists should be kind of taking a step back and at least listening to what the guy has to say, is the ecliptic alignment of retrograde trajectory, which would be number 1. Actually, let me get this off here. That's number 1. To paraphrase Einstein, his math is fine, but his statistics are atrocious. Best takedowns, let's see, is retrograde trajectories aligned to within 5 degrees with the ecliptic plane of the planets around the sun with a likelihood of 0.2. The second anomaly listed is during July and August 2025, it displayed a sunward jet or an anti-tail that is not an optical illusion from geometric perspective, unlike familiar comets. Number 3 was the nucleus is about 1,000,000 times more massive than a Oumuamua and 1,000 times more massive than 2I Borisov, while moving faster than both, altogether with the likelihood of less than 0.1%. Anomaly 4 would be its arrival time was fine-tuned to bring it within 10 millions of kilometers from Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, and be unobservable from Earth at perihelion, with a likelihood of 0.005%. Number 5 was its gas plume contains much more nickel than iron, is found in industrially produced nickel alloys, and a nickel to cyanide ratio that is orders of magnitude larger than that of all known comets, including 2I Borisov, with a likelihood below 1%. The 6th is the gas plume contains only 4% water by mass, a primary constituent of familiar comets. Number 7, it shows extreme negative polarization, unprecedented for all known comets, including 2I Borisov, with a likelihood below 1%. The 8th, it arrived from a direction coinciding with the ratio of the wow signal, which actually I think I have something about that here. Let me bring that up here. And so it's coming from the same direction as the wow signal, which was this whole big deal, which is what we're looking at here. And it arrived from a direction coinciding with the ratio wow signal to within 9 degrees, with the likelihood of 0.6%. The 9th was near perihelion. It brightened faster than any known comet and was bluer than the sun. The 10th anomaly, it exhibited non-gravitational acceleration, which requires massive evaporation of at least 13% of its mass, but preliminary post-perihelion images do not show evidence for it so far. So it should have lost a lot of mass, and it didn't. And let's see. Now we are at anomaly 11, which is, let's see. I think this is non-smeared jet orient. I think this is 12. Non-smeared jet orientation despite rotation. 1 to 3 million kilometers, stay precisely oriented across directions, unaffected by the 16.16 hour spin. So it takes 16.6 hours for it to rotate one complete time, and the natural jets would smear. But instead, they look like this, which are unbroken. So, and I saw some things on this. Where someone had come up with an idea that there could be some sort of, the rotation could be like, so think of like a,
What are we looking at right here?
this is 3I Atlas. We have an image of 3I Atlas up here, and these are the jets that we're talking about here for the last anomaly. And so essentially, if this thing was rotating, if these jets are spewing out and it's rotating, then the jets would not remain straight. They would kind of smear. You can understand how that would work. So
Yeah.
someone explained it away as the way this could work if it was considered to be technological, is that the spinning is like a nucleus on the inside, and that there's a sort of structure around it, almost like a Dyson sphere, that would be around it, and that the jets or thrusters, as Avi Loeb has said in other interviews, would be on this outer shell, essentially, of the object.
What is it? I've zoomed in on this because I'm trying to like. What is the direction of travel of this? Is it going like from right to left?
Let me see here. It says, yeah, because I can't see that either. Let me bring this up a little bit. Stacked images of Three Eye Atlas on November 8th. The sunward direction, which is opposite to the arrow, is pointing towards the bottom left corner, is what it states here for this image.
Bottom left
So,
corner.
but the jets, each one of those little lines you see there, white lines, are showing you just where these jets are shooting out from each side of the thing. But if it's rotating, these jets are not, they shouldn't be straight like that. They shouldn't be solid lines like they are. And this is where Avi Loeb is stating for him, he could explain that as being like thrust from a jet coming out the back of a ship, right? But then the spinning, the rotation part, and I don't think Avi Loeb came up with this explanation. I think it was someone else, but they stated that they thought it could be from thrusters on the outside of the shell of an object. And let's see here. Did you send something out?
Yeah, I may have invited somebody.
Okay. And so we'll go ahead and bring that person up here in just a moment. Let me see here. So let me just make sure we get through this here. All right. So
it'd be a good surprise.
Yeah. Good friend. This one here is the stacked deep image of Three Eye Atlas taken on November 9th through a combination of 5 exposures, each lasting 3 minutes with 2 telescopes. The sunward direction is toward the lower left corner. And all right. And let me see what else we have here. So we got the WOW signal. This is the Mars high-rise orbiter. So this is the craft that is in orbit around Mars. This is what should have taken the image. Hopefully it has a great image of it. And you can go to the high-rise site, which is, I think, is being run by the University of Arizona. And I think that's what Avi Loeb was referring to, that there's a person from the University of Arizona working with NASA that would have access to these photos. Like, they're not even coming through NASA, they're coming through the University of Arizona. So it's like, why haven't we seen it? Because they didn't experience the shutdown.
There's another point that I saw mentioned in the chat that brings up a good point that I didn't think about. The Vatican has I think it's in Arizona, or it's a state here. It's in one of the states. It's in the United States. I think it's Arizona, but they have a telescope there, like a huge telescope. It's weird that the Vatican owns a telescope in the United States, but I'm talking about a really, really big one. So, I mean, that has possibility of seeing it too. Like there's observatories, like huge observatories in Hawaii. Like where's all that data? Like where's this data at?
This is the photo of the actual camera that you see mounted to the row, which is right there at the bottom there. And that's how you can tell scale. This is that actual camera. This is what should have taken an image of Three Eye Atlas. This is hopefully going to be the camera that kind of explains what this thing is to us once and for all. And NASA, where's the photo? We can't find it. We can't find it. So with that being said, I just wanted to present that, and we're going to actually get ready to go into our last break here of the night. But before I do, I want to make sure that we bring our special guest here up on the stage to join the conversation as we get ready to go into the last half of this hour, which is none other than good friend Augie Nost. Augie, thanks for coming on in. How you doing?
Hey. Well, it sounds like you guys are having fun there.
Yeah, we kind of are. We, definitely felt it was, something that we needed to talk about, especially with the photos coming up here, supposedly released this week, which means this story might be over with, and this might be the last time we're talking about it. So it's awesome to have you.
Oh no, it will not be over. But it is fun to talk about stuff that makes your brain itch, doesn't it?
That's what I'm talking about. We're going to come right back after this break. Augie, give me just one moment. Augie, we're coming right back. Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show, guys. Don't go anywhere. Augie Das that's joining the party. We'll be back right here at Spaced Out Radio. All right, we are clear. All right, we're on a 5-minute break here. Everyone can still see and hear us, Drew and Augie. And
yeah, thanks for popping in, Augie.
Yeah, hi there. This is kind of an enigma that there is so many fake videos out there talking about it, so it's really hard to know. But there are two scientists that have the guts to come out and talk about some of the truth behind it. That's Michio Kaku and Avi Loeb. And you mentioned Avi. I have a high regard for that guy. He is sharp.
yeah, we talked about Michio as well. He had a opinion that his opinion was that it was 7 billion year old rock from deep space. Essentially, is what he said, paraphrasing. And I was talking also, Augie, about how it's just responsible, I think, in this conversation and pretty much all conversations to have like a bottom up approach to let's come from a grounded level where we can talk facts about what this could be and then kind of branch out from there, right?
Yeah. We're talking about 3i Atlas. That is not going to be the biggest story. The biggest story will be the next one, 4i Atlas, that is just now left the Kuiper Belt and heading the same pathway to come through and meet up with planets and going around the sun. That one is 100 times bigger than 3i Atlas.
Wow.
So
Here we go.
Have they detected this? Is this something they've detected already?
Yeah, I believe so. I saw something about it, and I known about this one for a while, and there is not much out there on it yet. But it's kind of the same thing that when the scientists see something like this, especially now, they don't talk about it right away because a lot of the information they get is immediately classified.
Yeah.
A lot of the pictures from 3i Atlas are classified. If it is just a rock, why in the world would they classify it? Or if it is an ice, snowball, why would anybody classify that? No, there's something. And Michio Kaku talked about when they took the blew up pictures that they're taken from 3i Atlas, it had triangular and square panels on the outside. It looks like it was geometrics. Snowballs have no geometrics on the outside.
Where were these images at? Who said that? Who said they saw that?
That was Michio Kaku.
Oh, okay. I gotta watch. Another thing I saw. I have to find that. Here's one thing I do have to say about Michio Kaku. And guys, this is a warning. This is actually one of these moments where you might want to look out, because when I was researching and looking into things, and I was actually researching Michio Kaku, looking for some statements from him, and I came across probably 30 AI Michio Kaku videos where they had Michio Kaku saying it was all these weird things, and it wasn't even Michio Kaku, it was AI. I saw these today, and I was like, that's not Michio Kaku. That is not Michio Kaku. And he was saying stuff like he would never say. And I was like, no, that's definitely not Michio Kaku. So So guys, don't be fooled out there by
Yeah.
these AI videos. They're currently, I verify for sure these were AI videos in Mishukaku.
Yeah. It's really hard to see. But I personally think I also saw there was another scientist that talked about when they scanned it, they had several echoes coming back from this 3i atlas, so it appeared as it was hollow. Now, I don't know if it's possible to see that from those scans, but it would not surprise me because it's not a snowball.
Give me 1 second here. And Dev say, are we highlighting the comment tonight, Grant Carson? We're coming right back right now. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, After Hours Radio Show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We're having a fantastic show tonight. Just having a conversation on 3i atlases. We don't know what it is. We're trying to figure out, it's like everyone else, but I can tell you this. Likely a comet, but why is it so weird? We're talking about that and a lot more. Make sure if you miss any of this conversation tonight that you jump in the archive because it doesn't cost anything. YouTube.com/@spacedoutradio. As we come back here and we are joined in the back half of the second hour here with our guest Augie Nas, who has decided to come on in and join this conversation about 3i Atlas. And I'll tell you what, there's and I spoke about Stephen Greer and Billy Carson earlier tonight. And just like with anyone else, I think out in the UFO community, I think there are things that you can take away from everyone. I think, everyone has things that you can draw from, even if there are other parts of their life or personality that you may not agree with or like. It's all about finding those silver linings. It's all about searching for those nuggets. Even in moments when someone says something, sometimes it's not about what they say, it's about what they didn't say. So there's always an abstract way to kind of look at it and take in information. And I think I can definitely say that regardless on how some people out there may feel about those individuals that I mentioned, there's definitely some nuggets I could definitely point to that have added to the conversation in the community. And I just wanted to give a statement and kind of just be fair about that. Because I know our community often gets split in their feelings about certain individuals that are talking heads in the community. But yeah, go ahead, Augie Nas.
Yeah, and I feel like I want to say something about Greer and Carlson, because are you considering those two guys to be human? I think the answer probably is yes.
Yeah.
That means they are not right on absolutely everything. They're fallible. But Greer's, he is saying that there are no such thing as bad aliens. I disagree. There are some that doesn't have our best interest at heart. And also with Carson, he may be wrong on something from time to time too, but I have also heard him say, I don't know that, or I had that wrong before. That is a sign of someone that is credible. They say what they think and believe, and when they're wrong, they admit it. Boy, have I had to do that a few times.
And that's awesome for you to make that statement, Augie, and kind of add to that. That's awesome. And there's some of the same, going on in the scientific community when we talk about, some of the scientists that are out there speaking against Ivy Lowe for simply having, an open-minded approach to looking at what 3i Atlas might be. He's opening eyes, I feel like, and I feel like if he didn't join the conversation, that the rest of the scientists would just have us assume that this is just a comet passing through the solar system and nothing more. And Avi Loeb has at least opened up the idea that it could be something else because it's coming from deep space for one, And for two, we know we currently are dealing with the phenomenon right here on Earth in our own sky. So if they're here right now, we're dealing with this, then of course you want to, have an open mind about something that might be approaching from the outer solar system. It only makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you?
Absolutely.
Drew, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, we got to have open minds to everything, because ultimately we don't know what it is, and there's a lot of speculation, a lot of ideas, but ultimately we don't know. And really, I pray that, we're going to figure out what this is. Hopefully we get some pictures from NASA, but, like we talked about earlier, even if we do get pictures from NASA, like, we're still going to question them, because there's AI out there. Like, you just talking about seeing Michio Kaku having AI generated videos. There's Joe Rogan AI videos that hits on so many different things. It hits on tribalism, because you have like a certain tribe that's attached to these people, like deep followers that follow them very deeply. And then you have like authority, so you have like mind control, like not techniques, but aspects that are
Yeah.
tied into it. So when someone with perceived authority, that when they have when they have, the number one podcast, or like all these different accolades that Michio Kaku has, and Avi Loeb, you have this authoritarianism that's attached around it. So it's a different thing than if I were to go out there and give out my opinion on Three Eye Atlas, than like stand beside Avi Loeb or Michio Kaku. So, but ultimately, we probably won't ever know exactly what it is. Like, we're never going to see. Most of us are never going to see it face to face. So, that's the only thing that's going to make sense. But ultimately, what's going on out here on the ground with inside of us, the awakening that's going on inside of each and every one of us, is the main point of what's going on right now. So let's not get distracted from that.
Yeah. And I want to remind you too, there's a reason why I have a bumper sticker on the back of one of my cars, and it says on it, NASA lies. So we got to remember, probably lying about at least half of what they're telling
Yeah,
us. That's the tough
and
one.
well, here's the problem. Here's the problem I have is that, for some reason, and as you said earlier, and I didn't hear this, and I want to look into that, but the NASA classifying this information, or I don't know. They say that they're releasing a photo of this later this week. Now, I did have someone in the chat that had brought something up that was pretty on point when it came to that, and it was Mike Jones, who basically is saying, what if the photos are not the actual object? And that's been a fear of mine, that because obviously there's so much going on out there in space, they could easily snap a shot of something else. But I think where that might not work out is that you have so many eyes on it, and so many other telescopes and cameras looking at it, that you'd probably be able to tell that it's not the same object if they tried to pull that. So I don't think they'll be able to do that.
I want to speak on that. That I did hear something about. I think that Three Eye Atlas has its own congressional oversight committee or something like that now. I did hear something about that classification. I don't know if it's classification, but I believe that's what I heard, and I can't remember. I can't cite it, but I believe it is a congressional oversight committee on Three Eye Atlas, which, if it's been deemed a rock and it's been deemed a comet by NASA, like, why would NASA is connected? It's a product of the government. It's part of the government. So why would they have a congressional oversight committee? And I believe that's been formed like just recently. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
There are meetings going on behind closed doors between both the Chinese and the Russians and the United States in regard to these objects coming into the solar system. They know there's something that is abnormal at best, dangerous at worst.
Mm.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I've when I want to think way off, and I'm want to imagine what this might be. I put together different things that have happened this year that made me feel like that we could potentially look at this as something that maybe government officials and NASA know more about, that they're willing to tell us. And the reason why we might be experiencing some of the turmoil and bad energy that's kind of flowing around the country right now, because they're setting us up to prepare for something. Now, obviously, there's not going to be a way to validate that unless said thing happens. But we know NASA, being that it is a government agency, has been accused of not telling the truth pretty much for their entire existence. If you want to go all the way back to if the moon landing happened or didn't happen, which is something that I wanted to actually talk about a little bit later. But going from that, looking at the shutting off of the space station cameras when weird things are happening in space, the
Yep.
shuttle missions where you had obvious objects that were floating around out there, and they try to explain it off as something else. And it's just, they're supposed to be, and they present themselves as a transparent agency, but I think we all know there is no transparency when it comes to the government, right?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what year was Roswell? What year was Roswell?
1947.
1947. We just found out. They just admitted just within the past couple of years that they recovered biological bodies. Now we're starting to find proof that there was a EV1, EB1 or EV1, whatever it was a biological entity that was still alive after that, and was handled by Colonel Corso for like 5 or 6, 7 years, something like that. Like how they've kept that secret for so long. So who knows what this is like, and who knows if we'll ever get all the transcript, all the actual photos, and in this day and age with AI and everything, it's going to be hard to believe anything. So this is a show me time. Like this is a time for people to witness stuff face to face. I was just talking about it on Friday, people are talking, the conversation was going towards consciousness and AI. And I was like, that's why I lean more towards the Native American practices, because AI can't affect when an eagle shows up from a dream, or when a coyote or a bear like the animal spirits show up and give you messages at certain times when you're having certain thoughts, and they connect to in the physical.
Yeah.
That's something AI cannot affect. So why not have something that cannot be interfaced with that? And that's why, getting back to this Three-Eye Atlas and this contact event that people keep talking about, is going to be something that people are going to have to witness firsthand. And AI, the introduction of AI over the past couple of years, is only pushing that forward even more, because it's taking the trust out of pictures and videos.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another thing too. There's more and more people now starting to think that this is all made up. There's nothing to it. They're scaring the chocolate out of us so they can introduce Operation Bluebeam.
Mm.
But that is not so, because about probably 3 months ago, I interviewed a guy on Broadcast Team Alpha, Mark D'Antonio. He has a telescope at home that is so big I could probably crawl into it. And he said, he showed us the film that he took. He found Three-Eye Atlas and he followed it. So we saw he got it. And then again, there are other amateur astronomers out there that also is filming this, so this thing is real. But then that doesn't mean that this is an opportunity for NASA and the UN and whoever other scuzzbuckets out there like to introduce Operation Bluebeam, the fake alien invasion, because it's still on the table. And my friend in Tucson, John D'Souza, the ex-FBI agent, he says Operation Bluebeam is still relevant and it is imminent. They're planning to do it very soon.
See, and I thought this would have been when Three Eye Atlas, when this whole thing started coming out and everybody's talking about it, I thought this was going to be the perfect time for Greer to talk about the false flag, because that's been a big thing he's talked about. And I just knew that he was going to take that angle and say, it's starting to happen right now. And I thought that was going to be the angle. I haven't heard him say that recently. If he has, let me know. But I don't think you could even attempt to call it a false flag, though, because I think with it coming from interstellar space, it couldn't be ours, essentially. Like, it couldn't be our craft if it was going to be a craft coming in from interstellar space. Yeah. That's kind of where I would start.
Well, we don't really know what they have in the secret space program. You remember, the head of the Skunk Works, Lockheed Skunk Works, he said in 1978, he said when he retired, if you have seen it on TV, we already know how to do it. I mean, on Star Trek, he said.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, I'd say, to say the least. But, here's the thing. Next time we see each other, and we'll be doing a show here next week, we'll actually see what it is. But at this point, as I was showing earlier, this is kind of where we're at, NASA. So it's like, you got to do something. Like, we need you to update your page and show us what this thing is, because we want to know. And I know you see all these people out here having these conversations, and I know you see and notice all the disinformation that's happening as well, with all these clickbait videos that are being posted, where people are literally making up things about what this thing is. And why not release the photos so we can see, just like the files, release the photo. Let's do all this. We do all this at the same time. Release the file, release the photo.
Release the files, photos, all
for
of
humanity's sake.
Let's just put it all out on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shots fired.
All the files, people. Let's just be clear what we're talking about.
Yeah, another week or two.
This video is going to get canceled.
Hey, I'm a humanitarian first, man. I'm all about human beings and humanity, and us advancing and getting to the answers and the truth. And
I'm about truth, man.
When we got all this BS out there, it's kind of hard I can imagine someone who wants to learn about this, how much trouble they're running into sifting through all this trash that's out there. And it's just sad, man, especially with these. And I'll just go over in this channel because we have a few minutes to break. But these AI videos, right? These AI narrated. Usually they're narrated by AI, and they make some grand claim. Oh, Three Eye Atlas just blinked, or Three Eye Atlas just made a left turn, and then come with this whole thing. And it's like someone who may not be able to discern whether this is real or not is receiving very, very bad information, and then maybe recommending that to someone else and spreading this disinformation. I think we already have too much of that in the community, with individuals who go on shows and make things up and say things, and we already have that problem. We don't need AI coming into our space and kind of compounding that problem. And it's just, anytime you see it, you got to speak on it. What I do is when it's in my recommended list, I just say, don't recommend this ever again. And I flag the channel and I do all that because it's just, there's no room. If you are trying to get to the truth, there is no room, or in the time that we have, the short time we have here as living beings, we don't have time to, have to figure out what's fake and what's not.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to add to that, we have a couple minutes before break here.
Yeah, I think also that a couple of weeks from now, this conversation may be totally different.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, and that's why I want to go too far with it, right? That's why I want to keep it grounded, because, why step out on a ledge and say it's something that it may turn out to absolutely not be, and then there now who's looking like a fool at that point, right? And I just and I talked to Drew. I think it was before you came in, Augie. I was talking to Drew about different individuals who had opinions on what this was, but then at the same time, I also looked at the UFO community, not necessarily just the UFO community, but just the phenomena community is what I'll call it. And I found things like channelers, I found remote viewers, mediums, and they were just saying the wildest things about what 3i Atlas was. And Drew made a point where we know that some of these channelers, remote viewers, and mediums are authentic in their abilities to do what they do, but then they're the ones that are charlatans and definitely are not. They're just up there saying things or making things up. And I think those are the people that are going to end up hanging themselves.
Yeah, we remember too, though, truth is usually stranger than fiction. So whatever they say, I kind of still like to give them a small benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
that's very well put. I mean, because really, who knows? Like right now, like anything's on the table. To be honest, it's this is a time for wild things happen. I see a lot of people talking about Hopi prophecy and stuff. Maybe they're foretelling what's going to be coming up in the third hour of this. But this is a time for weird things happen. This is a time for prophecies to unfold. So, I don't write off anybody, but there's definitely if like I was saying before you come on, Augie, now is the time to prove it. Like if you could remote view, like the Joe Monagle, things like that, Monroe Institute, like that has really based themselves on remote viewing. Like let's talk to them. Like go up, put a couple guys in a trance, send them up there and get a report from them and see what matches up on it. Like let's get scientific about this. Let's put numbers on it. Let's put remote viewers that have been bona fide remote viewers. Let's send them up there, bring them back, get their reports, and figure out what lines up, and then we can start tracking, getting closer to what the truth is on that level. And that's I'm gonna believe that. I'm gonna believe that more than I will ever believe a picture at this point, because AI can make anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can I give you my theory? And I am about 98.346% sure it is true.
Yeah, you're getting pretty specific there. Hold for 1 second though, Ivy, because we got 30 seconds before we go to break. So hold that thought, and then we'll give it right after the break here. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into some good stuff here in hour 3. And we got Augie here. We have a panel coming up next week, which we'll end up talking about for the Age of Disclosure documentary, which is coming out on Friday. So I want to make sure everybody out there goes to see it. That way you can participate in the chat on that show. But we'll be right back after this break with more conversations. Spaced Out Radio.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, we're clear. See you guys in 5 minutes. right, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. As we get ready to we're in hour 3 now. Let me change that. Coming back here in about 15 seconds. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. We are in After Hour number 3. We've been talking about 3i Atlas tonight, kind of taking a ground-up approach with it. What is it? Likely a comet, from what I hear, from what I understand, but why is it so weird? Right? Let's get those questions answered. And I know the audience had questions. We'll go ahead and talk about those real quick here before we jump into other things right here on Spaced Out Radio. As we get back into the conversation, Augie, you were right in the middle of giving a prediction, I think you stated. So go ahead and pick up there.
Well, there's a reason why I think I am sure I am accurate on this, and that is I think it is an observation. I'm speaking of 3i Atlas now. I believe it is an observation platform that was sent from another system. And I also think there's a reason why they flew really close to Mars first. Because the closest star system to us is about 3 point something light years away. And that is seem like this thing come from. So if it travels through space, go by Mars, and let's say it takes maybe several 100,000 years or maybe 1 million years to get here or more. Maybe they had old information, because 1 million years ago there was a society living on Mars. Maybe they came by to have a look and see how they were doing. And then they go further, come by Earth, because they also knew there was something going on there. And then they go around the sun, and of course they're speeding up and slowing down, which doesn't make sense. So we know there's energy involved here. There is an intelligence behind it. So when they go out, they pass by other planets close by. And I wonder why. Maybe they also think there is intelligence on those planets. So I am totally convinced this is an observation platform that came through to make an observation of what's going on Mars, what are they doing on Earth, and what are they doing on other planets. And they figured it out. There's something going on here. So something is coming in from the Kuiper belt. Maybe it's been out there all the time, because that's where it's coming from in that 4i Atlas. So I wonder what is on that one that is about 100 times bigger than 3i. We're going to find out in the next few months.
Yeah, I'm assuming, and I know Avi Loeb will probably jump right on that and probably going to press run for that, which is awesome, because keep the conversation out there. But yeah, I like that idea. I like that prediction, Augie, and it makes a lot of sense. And we talked about I think Billy Carson stated something like that. He stated that he thinks if it's artificial, could be a probe examining this part of the galaxy, and then believes maybe inhabited, says maybe picked up frequencies from a nuclear testing, and it's come to see what we've done. So pretty close to along the lines of what you were stating. And it just makes sense, as I was telling Drew earlier, it's like with it 1 billion years from now, if we are blessed enough to still be here as human beings, our technological advancements are going to be so out there that we will one day have probes monitoring, as much of space as we can. So it is definitely a likely thing for an advanced civilization to do, to have probes out in space, which makes sense. So I'm with that idea, Augie. How about you, Drew? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when Augie mentioned the 4i Atlas and mentioned, it's a couple months, we're going to figure out within the next couple months. I immediately started thinking about, my what Bledsoe talks about. There's going to be he foreseen an event around Easter 2026, and that would line up, but within, we're only 5 months away from April right now, so it's just something to think about. There's a lot of things unfolding, and there's so many people mention the blue star Kachina. I'm gonna have to look more into that particular prophecy, but I know there's multiple Native American prophecies that are converging right now at this very moment.
And Augie, to add to what you were saying here, T-Bone was asking if 3i Atlas is an observation platform, then what is 4i Atlas? What do you think it would be?
Well, it's a lot bigger, and we have really, well, we may have ideas about it, but we don't know anything. I think also that is intelligently directed, because it follows a familiar path that does not fit with, it fits with the 3, 1, 2, and 3 Atlas. It fits with that, but the path is not following gravitational trajectories. So we're going to find out in another month or so, because then everybody will be talking about it.
Yeah, let's get 3i Atlas out the way before we start worrying about 4i Atlas. That's gonna be a whole other can of worms.
What about 11i Atlas?
But exactly, 11i Atlas, yeah. And so let me get this here. Jose Sanchez was just asking, what is 3i Atlas's current location? Let me see. I was looking at the timeline here. I could probably give you an idea.
It's coming around the sun, so
it says here that let's see, that's those. I have the timeline of where it is. Okay, so November 15th. Okay, it doesn't say where it's at, but December 19th is the Earth's closest pass. So it's somewhere between Mars and Earth. But we know it's in the sky. Closest to the sun is where they were talking about. Like, I guess if you're in United States, someone stated that if you wait right as the sun is rising or right before, and you look right at the horizon, that this is where those objects are located if you had a telescope and you wanted to look for yourself. And you should be able to Google that information as well, but it's somewhere close to the sun.
I'm just saying it's close to the sun, and we just had one of the biggest aurora borealis ever in the on Earth that was visible to almost all the United States. I was outside and saw it on November 11th, but it's coincidental that it's passing close to the sun. If this is like a consciousness probe, let's just say it's a non-inhabited, but it's a consciousness ball of energy or something like that, that's going by and waking up different things or absorbing energy from the sun and then gonna release it when it gets closer to the Earth. Like, who knows what it's going to be, but we have to look at what's actually happening. We know it's close to the sun, and we know that the aurora borealis are connected to solar flares, and we've had some of the biggest solar flares over the past 30-40 years in recorded history that's happened over the past few days. So these things this is things that we know. So let's put these things that we know together, and so who knows what it is, but it's not coincidental that it's close to the sun, and the sun has solar flares that we've never seen in human history.
Mhm.
And looking at this here, T-Bone was asking if it's a comet, should it be getting smaller? And the answer to that is supposed to be yes, right? If it's burning off vapor and gases, shouldn't it be getting smaller?
Yeah, but it is not.
Right. And that was one of the things that Avila was pointing out as an anomaly, like it should, but it isn't. And one of the reasons why he is saying, hey, and once again, he's not standing on it being something alien. What all he said, as we said earlier in the show, is that here's 12 anomalies. Explain to me why these are so, right? These don't line up with comets. So explain to me if your stance is this is a comet or this is an asteroid or something, some space rock, just explain to me then. Let's go anomaly by anomaly. And if you have a great explanation for it, then okay, I'm open to it. And that's essentially what he's saying. But it just seems like the conversation isn't the same way coming from the other side, right? It seems like these scientists are just astrophysicists, astronomers are all just like, no, it's a comet, and we don't want to hear anything else other than that. It's a comet. And so it's like you would think, and I think Avi Loeb said this himself, you would think that scientists should have an open-minded approach to science.
Yeah. I think Avi Loeb has. I think he's pretty open-minded. He may not talk about all the things that he is onto, but I think he's fairly open-minded.
Yeah, I'm going to say so as well. And, especially because it could be considered career suicide, right? Because it's like the boy that cried wolf, essentially, after so long. They're like, oh, you keep saying this, Avi. Every object that comes in, you keep saying it's potentially alien tech, and it's not every time. It's not alien tech. So we're going to stop platforming you, and we're going to stop doing this. And I don't, even if that did happen and they stopped going to him, at least he got the conversation going. At least you got people to talk about it. Think outside the box. People who might not be, into aliens or into UFOs, but might be into space. He's got a lot of people to look at this, which I think is pretty awesome.
I think the greatest thing for me about all this is happening is the more as days go on, the more I realize I don't know anything at all. Like, and that's the most exciting thing. Like, because it opens up, like every day I'm learning something new. It's just like, and I feel like I'm in a new reality every day, and all these paradigms are changing, and that's the greatest thing for me. Like, the things that I do know, I will platform, but they're few and far between that I fully do like fall on as hardcore truth. All this other stuff is so amazing because it's like you're living out the best movie you've ever could create in your mind, and you're actually living it out in real life. So, and that's how I feel about it, and it's just exciting. And I don't want to know it all. Like, I don't want to. The excitement is for me is waking up in the morning and wondering what's going to happen today, and that's not just in my own life. That's just in the collective and everything. And that's, I think people pray to be at that point.
No, it's the journey. It's exactly what you said. It's the journey. And
I fall in love with the journey, I guess, is the basic way to say it.
And that's what this show's built off of. The what if, the think tank, the let's sit together, let's Let's bounce ideas off the wall. Let's spitball. Let's come with logic. Let's try to figure this out. Let's try to get answers at the end of the day. That's what this is all about. It's not necessarily just having a conversation about a UFO or any of these things. It's about, okay, we know this. Now let's try to get answers to this. And that's kind of what this thing is. And that's the approach of this show. So I think we're aligned then with, I think everyone should be like that. Scientists as well. I think Avi Loeb said, stepping into the situation as if you know everything is like the wrong thing to do anyway. Assuming that you know everything, not being open to learning or feeling like you can't be taught something, I think is the biggest problem. And there's people out there that goes for the community as well. When we talk about skeptics, really everybody across the globe, like no one on this planet knows everything. Let's just start there. So if you know that, then you should obviously be open to learning something. You would think.
Yeah.
You would think, but we have let me see. We had a few other things. I know Paula Rodderman had a couple things she wanted to say here. I think this was a two-part thing here. It was. So she's stating there are a million of opinions about everything, but our responsibility is to look for the most accurate sources and then decide. IMO, in my opinion, and that's correct. She also says this should not be a battle between versions, who is right, who's wrong, but it should unite us as a humankind and our future. Definitely. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And we have T-Bone coming with some controversy. Why does the Vatican stay silent with this telescope in Arizona? What do you think, Augie?
Well, I've been at that observation. It's on top of Mount Graham in Arizona. And I've been there. And guess what the name is?
What is it?
Lucifer.
Whoa.
The Lucifer Observatory.
Imagine that. Wow.
Yeah, that goes right along with the Pope's. This is. I'm losing my word when I start talking about that guy and the religions. So I better not go there because there's so much stuff that is anti-human. But the observation, there's one guy that worked up there, and I asked him, "Have you found Nemesis?" Now this was way probably about 1997, something like that. And I asked him, "Have you found Nemesis or this Nibiru system that is supposed to come through?" And he didn't say anything. So I had to ask him again. He started talking about something else, and I had to ask him again. And he said, "Yeah, it's there." That's all I got from him, because I am sure that he was restricted in what he could say. So the telescope inside is huge, really huge.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the governments would tell us if they knew something was incoming like this?
Oh no,
I felt like that pretty much this whole time. Like maybe they're preparing us for something, and they're just not saying what it is. Yeah. Do you think that they would inform us that something was incoming?
They would never tell us, because knowledge is power. As long as they have the knowledge and we don't, they have the power and we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you say to that, Drew?
Yeah, I mean that's their perception on things, and they don't realize that most people really don't look at them for disclosure anyways. The general public is going to need that, on the the president stepping up to the podium on the South Lawn and announcing it or something like that, something more official. But the people that's already in the movement and has been in this disclosure movement and has looked at it at all, they're not waiting on the government. They're waiting to see it for themselves and their own, or they've had their own personal experiences. So disclosure has been happening all along. Like it's been happening on an individual level. The disclosure we're talking about is more of a collective disclosure, like when the collective agrees to it. And what makes that happen, because that's ultimately what it is. Disclosure is going to be when the collective shifts and believes in something wholeheartedly on a DNA cellular level, not just an idea of a UFO or aliens, but they know it on, and experiencers have already crossed that line. So there's this individual game going on, but there's also a collective game going on. And the disclosure we're talking about is a collective game because the individual game is already in process.
I agree with that because I don't think the government ever will come out and say, I'm really sorry, folks. We've been lying to you for 90 years, but it is for your best good. They
will
are
after the
never going to come and say that.
they'll say something after the fact.
Yeah. The extraterrestrials will make themselves known first.
Mm-hmm.
Then they cannot deny it.
Well, here's how I feel about the government, and I have to laugh on that because what I'm about to say is not shocking to a lot of people, especially with everything going on currently with our government here. You would totally believe this here if we had something incoming, because Philip Blair and we had just kind of addressed this a little bit. Philip, let me bring that up. Said, do you think they would give us enough information to know if we really wanted to know something was incoming? And the answer again is going to be no for that. And this is why they have bunkers, right? They build these bunkers. They have something called continuity of government. So if it was an alien invasion, like if this was a huge mothership incoming and it was looking pretty bad, the chances of invasion, they definitely wouldn't tell us. They go in their bunkers, lock up tight. And same thing if this was an asteroid that may have happened to be on a path to come to Earth as well, it'd be the same exact thing. So they don't ever think, they would never inform us. They would just take the casualties, take it on the chin, wait for things to clear up, come up out those bunkers, and continue on with business. And it's sad to say that would be the case, but that would be the case. That would definitely be the case.
Yep. Stonewalling is the best trait they have.
Yeah, there's a lot of celebrities and a lot of influential people, that's up in the $1 million and above range that are building bunkers. And it's you hear there's another story popping out all the time, and it makes you wonder, because the powers to be have known about, that they've used consciousness. So the truly rich and powerful really have tapped into this power of consciousness and everything for their own personal gain long before we started to figure it out, and it's only till recently where the more collective has started to open up, and it really starting to seep into all levels of people starting to figure it out. But
Well, before we take this break here, which is coming up in like a minute here, I definitely wanted to notice that we had a super chat from Deb from Sacramento, and she wanted to kind of lighten up the mood. She says, Three Eye Atlas is the Robinson family from Lost in Space. They finally let the wife ask for directions. LOL, they're coming home. So that's funny. That's probably the funniest thought that I've heard about Three Eye Atlas, and kind of just the lesson from that is to whatever this is, don't get too serious, don't take it too serious, just sit back, observe, learn, and don't be afraid to laugh as well.
Yeah, we gotta make fun of it once in a while too.
Yeah,
I did want to mention, I seen another comment that said Drew spitting game from underneath the closet stairwell or something like that. I'm actually in a very sacred geodesic like office space, so I am not tucked underneath the stairwell. I can't remember who put that out. It was a while back, but I started laughing when I saw it.
That's crazy. Yeah, Drew's not in the closet or under the closet. He's not in the closet or under the closet. Let's put it that way. Anyways, we'll be right back here. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. Back for the last 20 minutes of the show. If you've been with us so far, you might as well stay for the rest. We'll be back with Aki and Drew and myself, Mr. Rob G. After Hours Radio Show. Spaced Out Radio. See you in a minute. All right, we are clear. We are clear. And
Okay.
let's see here. So we got 5 minutes. We're on camera still. Tartar sauce says Drew lives in a yurt.
I live.
I thought it was a teepee at first when I first saw it.
I live. Well, this is my office. It's attached. You got to walk through the greenhouse, but I live in a 2,600 square foot straw bale adobe home, and this is its own dedicated little office. If anyone, the camera's on, so here I'll give you guys a little tour. There's the rest of the office. Yeah, there's the rest of the office.
It's heck of blurry, bro.
Yeah, heck of blurry. What's going on?
See, now you lost focus. Put your hand in front of the camera and then bring it back. You might fix it.
Nope.
What is going on now? See, try and be funny.
Yeah, you're kind of fuzzy.
I am fuzzy. Let me take this off for a second. All right, take me off main screen.
Yeah, I'm
Rob.
taking you off the screen. Yeah, definitely.
Lordy,
Yeah, we got to get you off the big screen, pal. Let me see. Going through the chat here. So get ready. We got about 3 minutes before we come back. Let's see. If you got it, did you unplug? If it's USB, did you unplug it and plug it back up?
I'm working on. Let me see here.
And Mel WD40. Oh, Drew dropped out. Okay. He'll be back. I'll save that message for him, Mel. Nicola Parsons, thanks for coming on in. I saw some names that I actually didn't get to. Stephen Drysdale, wait a minute. Diverse. Now you got me. You got me here. I don't know. You got to tell me how to pronounce that. But welcome to you as well. Thanks for coming on in here. No, I saw Dr. Bob's Nightmare come in as well. Thanks for showing up here. Tartar Sauce, because it's an awesome name. Thanks for showing up here. Sandra Heath, I see you. Joe Walker, appreciate you coming on in. Why would the Vatican name that? Who knows?
Yeah, because that's their god.
Oh my, yeah, okay. That I forgot you said you was gonna go deep on that. Maybe we can do something around that. That's strange though. We'll have to talk behind the scenes.
That's for a different show.
Yeah, for sure. Who is this here? This is Bill Effin Murray. Bill Effin Murray, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate showing on up to the show tonight. Fast Hemi, I didn't get to you earlier. Thanks for showing up, Fast Hemi. And Drew Banky is back, and wait a minute, let me see. And he's in focus.
That's me. Dude, there's too much energy going on in the rest of the room, so it's like, nah, can't show you that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, there you are.
Keep it classy. Let me see.
I guess everyone is not supposed to see the rest of the room. Gotta come see it in person.
Paul Damon, appreciate you coming on up. And let's go back. We got about a minute left. Let's see. Also, I saved the message for you, Drew. What was it? Mel W40 says he sent you the pages on Messenger.
I got him, Mel.
Okay.
I got him.
All right.
Thank you. Keeping it lubed up.
Yep. Always. Mel,
Lubed up.
which I didn't get to say earlier. So, Mel WD. Oh, yeah, I think no, I didn't. I didn't. We jumped right into the show. My bad, Mel. I know you're getting this lubed up for the show. My bad. Let's see. Granola Grin. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming on in. 10 seconds left here. Mr. Melted. I'll see you out there, Mr. Melted. Here we go. Coming back right about now. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. After hour number 3, back half of the last hour. We've been here talking about Three Eye Atlas because it's still strange, still unknown. And yes, it is likely a comet, but why is it so weird? Explain the 12 anomalies that Avi Loeb has listed. We'll be talking about that. We've talked about that and a lot more. If you missed it, hop in the archives, free, youtube.com at Spaced Out Radio. And we are jumping right back in. And Augie, I know you had a thought, and I had to stop you right before we went to break. Do you remember where you were at?
Boy, oh boy, that's you see, my mind works like the browser on my computer. I have 72 pages open, 16 are frozen, and I have no idea where the music is coming from.
There it is. That sounds. I like that. That sounds great. And yeah, that's about where we're at with it. I did want to, because I had a couple more slides. I didn't want to talk to this because we have this coming up next week. I'm going to put a panel together, and you're definitely welcome to come in, Augie, for this conversation. It has to do with the upcoming documentary, which is the, let me see, do I have it here? Age of Disclosure by Dan Farrow. Everyone has been waiting for this. This is finally upon us. It's supposed to be a big deal. There's a lot of interviews, a lot of Congress people, a lot of people in government about the phenomena. And, you know, there's a statement made, which is one they used for the trailer by one Jay Stratton. And I think I have Jay Stratton here. I thought I had him on here. Jay Stratton, anyways, he makes a statement about, I think I wrote it down, so I don't want to actually missay it. So he said, Jay Stratton says this: I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings. This is something that he says in the film. And my whole thing is, and I said this when they originally released that clip, I'm like, okay, what does he say before that? And then what does he say after that? Because is this clip being, you know, taken out of context? And is he saying, someone told me that they have seen craft in bodies, or, you know, and I want to make sure that this is the statement that he's really making, because it would be pretty awesome if that's exactly what he's saying. If he's saying he's seen with his own eyes craft and then also alien bodies, well, he needs to be in front of Congress, and we need to be talking to Jay Stratton about where the bodies are. So this is coming out on Friday, this coming Friday on Amazon Prime, November 21st, 2025 is when this drops. And I would ask for everyone out there to, if you have Amazon, or if you don't, go to a friend's house. Most people do. So you can go find a friend that has Amazon Prime, watch this on Friday along with the rest of the world. And we'll be back here on Sunday, November 23rd, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we'll be doing a review show on this particular film. So have you heard of this film, Augie? And
No.
will you be watching this on Friday?
I never heard of it.
Wow. Yeah, this is big. This is supposed to be, I mean, they premiered it at South by Southwest, I believe, back in March of this year, and they were supposed to release it then, but I guess he wanted to avoid, my thoughts is he wanted to avoid the whole pirating thing, and was waiting to make a deal with like a streaming
Yeah.
service, Netflix, and he got this deal done. So I'm just glad he did, because I've been waiting to see it for all this time. They've raved about it. Everyone in the community is waiting for this thing to come out. So big deal, and we'll be
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. I don't really understand why everybody is screaming, I want disclosure. Many government officials, heads of state from many different countries have come out and said, yes, aliens are real, UFOs are real, and we're talking to them. That had happened. My best example on that is, I think about 4 years ago or so now, Medvedev, which was the president of Russia at the time. He was interviewed and he stepped down from the podium and he thought the microphones were dead. And the guy with the camera, he asked him, what can you tell us about UFOs and the alien presence? And Medvedev looked at him and he said, well, when we take office, he says, we get this dossier, that is a file, and it explains about the aliens that are here and the ones we are talking to, and also that the ships and the UFOs that they're flying. So we get the information, but we can't talk about it because they're afraid of panic. Several NASA officials has come out and said, yes, they're real. But still people are standing on the rooftops and screaming, we want disclosure. Why don't they listen?
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from when you say that, and I think disclosure is just a word that we kind of throw around in the community. I
Yeah.
think what they really mean is like global recognition. Let's say that global recognition of the alien presence. We're retiring the word disclosure here. That's the New Year's resolution, and we're going to replace it with global recognition, or even, as Dave Scott would say, global confirmation of the alien presence. Just so that just everyone is aware, not just the community, not just some people on the outside who kind of know what's going on, but the world. The same way that the sun rises and sets every day is the same way the alien presence should be recognized. Because they could be us, they could not be us, but the problem is they're here, and at some point we're going to have to figure out how to take that next step. What is your idea on that, Augie? Taking the next step, like, okay, this global recognition moment, we're here, everyone is aware, and what do you think is the next step?
Well, I think that people got to get together and listen to the information that is already here. If they do know these things and the information is out there, if they look, they can find that, yes, they're real. Government has verified they're real. And now, of course, the age of disclosure is coming out, and that's going to have millions of viewers on it. So that will confirm to a lot of people, but there's still one step short of what we call disclosure, because that is mean the president of a country or somebody in government going on TV say, yes, I'm sorry, we have been lying to you for 90 years, but it was for your own best because we wanted to protect you. It'll never happen.
And I got to say this, for one of the people, if there was ever, let's just say there was a leader of the free world out there who was going through some pretty horrible times at the moment and needed to break glass in case of emergency, maybe standing on a podium and making a statement about the UFO presence would be an option to go to. And this is in a fictional world, obviously, We're not talking about anyone that you may know or not know. But what if a leader, and just like in the movies how it plays out, leader of the free world, like take this moment to be remembered forever, or to be the person on the face of this global recognition, and just take the bull by the horns. I'm catastrophic disclosure, and the reason why I say this, I want it to happen now. I want that moment to happen tomorrow or yesterday, if we could go back. And I don't know, how do you feel about that, Drew? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen at any moment. You know, that's the scenario you're talking about. You know, it could happen at any moment. You know, it could happen with Trump. You know, hell, I thought you were talking about Trump when you were laying it all out, but it could happen with any world leader. You know, at any given moment that a scandal could come up, like a huge scandal could come up, and I'm not just talking about the United States, as any leader. And there's a lot of leaders around the world that know a lot more than what they're letting on, and know secrets. And I agree with you. I agree with Augie that the basis behind of why they keep it from us is, I think, you know, the underlining that they want to put it out there is they're protecting us, but really they're trying to hold power over us. Because if we understand the true connection to ET, I've said it over and over and over and over again, if we understand the true connection to ET and our star brothers, then they can't control us anymore, because it gets into very, very deep consciousness, and how we can affect consciousness, how we can affect our reality with our own consciousness. And this is all tied to our relationship to our star brothers, which is laid out through Native American. The Native Americans have been talking about this relationship for a long, long time. And they say that they're not only connected to them, they are from another planet.
I think also that the excuse of panic, that's the one that was invented by the CIA, and they've been using it, and it works so well. They will never let that one go. They're going to say, oh yeah, we've been protecting you. But the thing is that the people have been waking up in hordes over the last several years. The whole world is ready now. There wouldn't be any panic if the extraterrestrials came with peace in mind to help us. There wouldn't be any panic. So that old excuse is no good anymore. Even the ones that don't believe in aliens, once they show up, they would accept it. Except for the fanatical religious people, they would probably crawl in a hole somewhere, because they're either jinn or demons. But they also would have to come around to the fact that maybe these guys are not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have a lot of work to do here as human beings on this planet. I'm not satisfied with my fellow human beings, especially in the times that we're going through right now. And as I stated earlier, and I was talking about Trump, Drew, I just didn't want to say the name, but since you said it, then we'll go ahead and speak to it. This if there was ever a moment where we could, with the world going through and feeling what they're feeling right now, and believe me, I feel it every day, because I'm a person that loves my fellow human being. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what walk of life you come from. I don't care. At the end of the day, the thing that we share more things in common than we don't. And we should be together. And the way that these governments and world powers are set up is to not allow us to stay together and be together. They would prefer us to be separate and separated. And, with that being said, I would love nothing more if Trump or whoever to go ahead and just press the button and let's just get this over with, so we can move forward and come together and unite as human beings, man.
Yeah.
And go to what our destiny is. We don't even know what our destiny is. We know we're supposed to ascend to somewhere. We don't know where that is. We're still trying to figure that out. But the only way we're going to be able to take that step is if somebody does something, man. So I just wish 2026, someone do something, please. That's the tagline for 2026. Someone say something. Someone do something. May I come up with a better one, but essentially that's what I'm trying to say.
Do something.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, I noticed some comments about the indigenous star knowledge and stuff like that, and I would have mentioned this before. I mentioned it last time we talked. I've been speaking with Chief Bear Cross, and we've been going through this whole process. And one of the things that we've been talking about, he's like, man, you need to learn to speak Lakota. And I was like, why Lakota? Like, I'm not Lakota. Like, why do I need to speak Lakota? And he takes me back to the teachings and the sharing of his grandfather when he come off the Vision Quest in Peshla, which is the center of Pahasapa, which is the Black Hills where they do the Vision Quest. He come back from Vision Quest and said he was on the third night of his Vision Quest, a circular craft landed, and a man come and walked over to him. He said, and the grandpa asked the being that come out of the craft, he said, where do I come from? He said, Inyantanka E, which means Inyantanka K, which means that big rock right there. And from my understanding and what Bear Cross says from that's been taught for years is Lakota is the Lakota language, Lakota Lokoyape, the Lakota language is not from this planet. It's from another planet. So one of the species of beings, or one of the subset of species of beings, I bet it would be a lot closer to put it, that are visiting this earth, that have been here, and they've actually originated from another planet, and this language originates from another planet and is still being spoken on another planet. So to interface with these it's a nature-based subspecies of the collective speaks Lakota still, and they communicate through Lakota when they come.
Yep.
And so I was speaking about this the interesting thing, I was speaking about this on Friday, and I was just putting it out there. Like, I was just putting out this conversation, and not claiming it was truth or not. Like, I'm just saying that this is what this Lakota Chief Bear Cross has been telling me. And I was on a panel on Friday, this past Friday, on another podcast, and one of the person on the podcast spoke up, and he's like, I just read that a few weeks ago, and he cited the book. I wish I would remember the book they cited, but he said someone channeled this or something like that, and it's in a book so it's been. That's the second time. It's like a confirmation. So I'm expecting, more and more confirmations to come through, but it's just a really interesting thing, like this far into these teachings, Native American teachings and all this stuff. And now we're coming to this point where this is coming out, and it's just something else that's blowing my mind. So when I was speaking earlier is that, every day something keeps blowing my mind. It's these things like this, speaking to Bear Cross and he being deeply connected to the coyote, and then a coyote walking right past my window in broad daylight and things like that. So that's why I was talking about AI cannot like intercede and interject. This is coming straight from nature. These confirmations and all this is random, and it's coming straight from nature, and that's the ones that I fall back on. So that's the little bit that I wanted to speak on. I mentioned Native American prophecy almost every time I get to speak. So there it is for tonight.
Awesome. Augie, do you want to go ahead and leave the audience with the note real quick before we get up out here?
Well, I would say become a digger. Go and read stuff that others don't read. Every night I read foreign newspapers. Of course, I can understand 6 languages, so it's easier for me. But you have English versions. So Cairo Today, Le Monde out of France, that's a pretty good paper. You won't find any truth about France, but they talk about other countries, what's going on, and it's pretty accurate. So also Russia Today, Pravda, and Svenska Dagbladet, there are foreign newspapers where you find and you read stuff that you never see in the American media. I have found a lot of good information from doing that, and I really advise people to do it because you're going to have fun with it. Even if the paper is not in English, there's some of them have a translation button that you can do, and then you can read it in English. And otherwise, I want to highly recommend for people to go to Amazon and have a look at a book that I wrote about spiritual science. That book changes people's lives. I talk about the Nobel Prize was given for the enzyme that was discovered to reverse the aging process. In fact, I'm doing that. It works for me. And also a lot about the Earth history that we had never been told, and a lot of the secrets and making your life better you will find in there. Go put my name in there and then just read all the different subjects that is written about, and you're going to have some fun with it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you guys coming in, having this conversation here tonight, because it's important to bump ideas off each other and further the conversation, move the needle. I think we did that tonight. It's definitely different than any other 3i Atlas conversation that I've heard. And it's definitely, the perspectives were pretty unique. So I do appreciate you guys for coming in. I'm about to close this show down. We will talk soon. I got to get your book too, Augie, so I'll be reaching out soon.
Okay. And in the words of Spark, live long and prosper.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. Appreciate you, Augie, for coming in. Also, Drew Banky. Talk to you soon, sir.
Much love to everybody. Thanks, Augie. Thanks, Rob.
Yep. Take care. All right, everybody. That's the show. That's the show. Kind of wanted to make sure that we had the conversation because Wednesday, well, now I say Wednesday, I think Avi Loeb said sometime this week, his sources have said that we'll be hearing or seeing some of these images from NASA, and this might just put it all to bed. This might be the cap on top of the story. We may move on to something else, age of disclosure, and I'm sure there's a lot of good things in there. And obviously I want you guys to come back and watch the Age of Disclosure review show, because once again, it's going to be a review show, not like the other reviews. Everyone's going to review it, but they're not going to do it like we do it right here on the After Hours radio show. So I definitely appreciate Augie Nas jumping in. Also, Drew Banky for holding it down tonight as we had this conversation. You know how it goes. I also want to thank the man you hear right there, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. He's the man that rocks out each and every week, teaching us and telling us to never say never again, because the phenomenon is definitely real. The 3i Atlas could be an alien ship, or it could just be a comet. But why is it so weird? That being said, we definitely want to thank all our viewers and listeners on terrestrial radio and digital platforms, when and whenever in the world you might be listening from. We appreciate you tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, you ask? We own the night. Remember, the show is copyright Spaced Out Radio and SR Media Adventures Limited. It's been a pleasure serving you once again as your host. I'm Mr. Rob G. This is the After Hours radio show. To all you space travelers out there, it's not a goodbye. It's not a farewell. However, you could best believe we'll be right back here doing the same thing, same time. So make sure you hit your notification bell. Make sure you share the show. Share with a friend. We'd love to have more come through and engage in these conversations. However, if we go off air for the night, I just got to say I'll see you guys later. Love you. Much love. Much, much love. And take care. right, we are clear. Once again, appreciate everybody coming on in. And yeah, let me just bring this back up for a quick second here, because this the age of disclosure, I'm not getting paid to promote this at all. But I would like for everyone, everyone viewing the show tonight, come back and check out the show that we're going to do next Sunday, November 23rd. So a couple days after this, give you time to watch it, maybe watch it again, digest, and then we'll come back together and have a really great conversation about that. As well as, guys, was the moon landing real or fake? Give me ones in the chat. Ones in the chat if the moon landing actually happened, or twos in the chat if this was just the beginning of NASA making up stuff and covering things up, and we should expect more with this 3-eye atlas image. Come on, ones we went, NASA's legit. Twos we didn't, NASA obfuscates. What do we got? Just give me one. One, yep, we went, they're great. To Mothman, one, we went, the NASA's great, we went to the moon. Okay, we got ones. Twos, okay, we got some twos in there. NASA obfuscates. We know that they do sometimes. Hopefully they'll show us the real image. Philip Blair, 1.5 is right in the middle, like so. I get it. Okay, I just wanted to test the waters there. Appreciate you guys. Once again, much love. I'm up out of here. You know how we do it. We want retribution. That's how we shut down the show each and every time. And we're going to do it again tonight. Take care.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.